If you're looking at me, I know you're assuming that I'm an African American or a person of color. I'm neither. I'm an American. My name is Lorraine Lamont, and I'm about to rock your world. Buckle up. You know, I decided to take this episode, and before I get to ranting and raving like I normally do when we just going on off into all kind of directions, I thought I'd just let you know a little bit about who I am and how this all come about and what it is. It makes me think that it's important that every human being learns to live life by design. And so let me take you back a little bit about who I am and where I've come from. Born and raised in the inner city of Detroit. Now, although I live in a little teeny tiny town, about 982 people now, you go figure that how that all happened. I'll tell you about that later. But so here I am, raised in the inner city of Detroit. It was 5 of us. Only one of them did not live with me. That was a brother that I'd never seen. So, but my mother had 4 girls, so I was one of the 4 girls. And so for some unbeknown reason that we actually found out about later, that my mother had to go see about the child that she had when she was a young girl in school. She leaves us with our grandfather. And in leaving us with our grandfather, he being the entrepreneur that he is, he took a wall and built it down the center of the house. And on one side, he put our living room, bedroom, kitchen, and everything. And on the other side, he put a crap table, a dance floor, a jukebox, a full-fledged juke joint. Now, if you're under the age of 50, you don't know what a juke joint is, or you may not, if you may have seen a little bit of Cotton Comes to Harlan or stuff like that, you might get a little bit of it, they'll color purple. A juke joint is when the establishment during the late 30s and maybe even earlier, it could be when African Americans were not allowed to go into a lot of the neighborhood bars and so forth. They just started their own. I love capitalism for that very reason right there. You can start your own and you make it work. And so the beauty of that, I was raised there. My grandfather noted right away that I had the ability to stand in front of a crowd, dance and shake a, and move and keep the crowd moving. With that little thing in his mind, being the entrepreneur that he was, he pushed all 127 songs we get home from school, and that was my after-school program with a jug of milk and a loaf of bread. Well, unbeknownst to him, of course, today if he was a CPS, they would jail him until Jesus comes, you know that. But unbeknownst to him, that became my training. That became my training for who I am, living life by design. Those gifts started rising up inside of me, dancing and singing and acting. Then my uncle, he got onto it. He started taking me to the neighborhood clubs around there. Yes, he did too. And it was awesome. So that became who I am at this point. And then, of course, life comes along. The drugs and alcohol and that whole thing combined begin to take the lives, one by one of my sisters, one by one, and in birth order. I remember my mother calling me one time, screaming and hollering, "Baby," she says, "they're taking all your sisters. It's just, you're going to be next." And I remember getting in my little raggedy little Chevy, driving maybe about 12 miles, maybe more, all the way to her house. I walked up on that porch and I knocked on that door. She opened that door, ready to cry, just said, "Stop. Take a really good look at me. Where you heard the buck stops here, the blood stops here. I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to live. I'm not going to die before my time. And I am going to declare the glory of God. And I'm going to do it through this speaking and all this other stuff he's given me." So that's how this all kind of came about. The ability to be able to speak. I believe that every human being comes to the planet specifically designed for his or her time. Now, what on earth could have been in the mind of God or me or anyone to think that, well, I can use this little tiny little girl in the middle of nowhere to have her to be able to speak for this time? This is my time. This is exactly, and it's your time too. I believe that, what does they say, that all different type of people are trying to come into the world to make a way for themselves. Listen, God didn't make a mistake when he let those sperms reach that egg at the time of conception and you make it in. Think about that. That's some deep stuff. That's some deep stuff. I'm not a math person, but boy, that kind of blows my mind. So I think about that, but I made it in. You made it in. That's right. So living life by design means to live life by what has been given to you, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Let it work out for your good. The reason why I say I love capitalism in that respect, because a lot of people think, well, right now, you can't get ahead and people are always pushing you down. Let me tell you, for every time someone is pushing you down, there should be something on the inside of you rising up those gifts to bring you back up. I call them stepping stones, not stumbling blocks. Because if you let life continue to be stepping stones, there'll be stumbling blocks for you. You'll be tripping all the rest of your life. So living life by design is to take those good, the bad, and the ugly and do something with it. So that's what happened with me. So, of course, life did come along. And I lost all my sisters and brothers. I found myself one day the only one alive. Thought about that. as I sat there in the funeral home of the last sister. I will never forget it. It's right out of a movie, y'all. I saw it. I remember hiding in the bathroom because I didn't want anybody to be all feeling sorry for me. Oh my God, she's lost all her sisters and brothers. And as I sat there, I remember asking the infamous question every human being asks at some point in time or another. Why? Why me? And I will never forget what rolled back like thunder to me. And that was, why not you? And since it is you, what are you going to do about it? So I'm asking that question to you, America. Why not you? With all these horrible things happening, everything's going on crazy. The country, Black Lives Matter, all kind of Antifa, tearing up people's business, killing one another, shooting policemen in their cars. Why not you? What could have been in the mind of God to even set you up for such a time as this? What is you supposed to be doing? What is it, that thing that you should be using and doing? Think about it, America. Think about it. I just did a rally this week and I loved it. And one of the things I closed, it says, can you get everybody motivated? Oh, yeah, I can motivate a bald-headed man to buy a comb twice. I love that. I recognize that gift. But one of the things I said is that I'm not black, I'm not pink, I'm not polka dot, we're not white. What are we? We're Americans. We're Americans. We're Americans. That's right. And not just we are American. I'm using it in that sense. That's right. Because being an American is a state of mind. It's not about a race. It's a state of mind. Listen, Karl Marx thought capitalism would fold. He says it would not be around. It was not going to make it. Well, Karl, I know you pushing up daisies and long been consumed of worms because capitalism is still alive and well on the planet Earth, and it will continue to be. And one of my next episodes I'm going to be talking about is the attempted assassination of the American spirit. Because that's what's going on. There's a scripture that says this. It says, a wounded spirit who can bear. Now, you can get your legs wounded, you can get your arm wounded, you can get your head, your eye, and you recover. You might make it and go on. You'll hobble on through life. But there's a scripture that says, a wounded spirit who can bear. That means there's something deep going down. And right now, what I see happening in this country is the attempted assassination of the American spirit. But it will not happen. You know why? Because I believe God, who sits high, looks low, saw little me's like me and little you's like you and planted something on the inside of us and then hid us in the earth so that we could be talking for such a time as this. That's what's going down right now. Absolutely. You would think I should just go and live my life with my 16 grandchildren, my 5 grown children, and owning my various degrees and so forth, bachelors and masters. Just go, live your life, be retired. This is my retired. I am living the life right now, doing what I've been designed to do. Are you? Can you say that about you? Are you living life by design? Are you just living life, getting up in the morning, having your coffee, whatever? Oh, I hate that word, whatever. No, it's not whatever. You've been set up. You've been given gifts. You've been given design to do something with what you've got. Answer to the times you live in. That's exactly what I'm doing, answering to the times I live in. Absolutely. And you should be doing the same thing too. I'm going to always be encouraging you on that. I'm never going to stop on this. I'm going to end up a little bit in a minute and tell you a little bit more about myself when I come back on the second half. But I want to say this before I even get there. When you learn to live life by design, no matter what walks in the door, no matter what walks out of the door, you are able to deal with it. Now, you may get knocked down, but you're not going to be knocked out. You're going to rise up. And that's what I'm pushing right now. This country, this is our finest hour. We are on the brink right now. I know you've heard it before. Oh, this election is the most important election. Every election is the most important election. You know, I like that term someone used, go ya fools, G-O-Y, get up off your, and you can take the other word and know what that means. Get up and go vote. And if you don't show up, you need to shut up. That's right. I'm serious. Don't have a conversation with anybody if you're not showing up. If you're not showing up, then you don't have a conversation. Show up or shut up. But we need to vote. That's the one power we still have left to do something with, one of the few. So I'm pushing that. I'm telling Americans, this is our finest hour. Absolutely. Every 30, 40 years, they say that in empires, the structure and the foundations of the empire changes dramatically. We're right at that crossroads right now. Shall I say cross? We are. We're right at that crossroads right now. It's imperative, America. It's imperative, Americans, that you rise up and you vote your values and you vote also what your virtues are. Stop voting personalities and parties. Oh, my word. Give me a break. We have crooks on both sides. Listen, absolutely. We have crooks on both sides, so we need to rise up and then go vote those values. Vote policies. Stop voting parties. Stop voting personalities. I don't like the way he talks. Give me a break, Martha. I just make up these names, guys. If it's you and the shoe fits, go oink, oink, or ouch, ouch. But I have to say this to you. I need to say this to you. I can't think of a better time for me to be born in this time right here. Living life by design is about that. You, I, and everyone else. We've been born for such a time as this. So what time is it? It's your time. It's my time. Get up, write a letter, make a phone call, do something. I always say that. Get up, write a letter, make a phone call, do something with what you've got. Use that gift that you've been given. That's a great gift that you've been given all the time. Instead of every time you turn around, you look around, most of us want to just give up, give in. Why? Why? Not at all. Not here. I don't think so. This is your time, America. I love the fact that Living Life by Design has permeated itself into all kinds of little categories. You'll see me on Facebook Live. You'll see me, hey, guess what? I'm on the radio. HillCountryPatriot.com. You can go on the radio, internet, and check me out. I'm a crazy person. And you think I'm wild now? Oh, buckle up. It is always a wild ride. But I just want to give you a little background about who I am, where I've come from, that whole thing, raised in the inner city of Detroit, now living in a little teeny tiny town. And by the way, just in case some of you think I came to Texas and then I came down here and started drinking the Kool-Aid, don't get it twisted. I stopped drinking the Kool-Aid when I was up in Michigan. I knew then that something wasn't quite right when I watched the riots consume and take over our city. When I watched the system, when we talk about systemic racism, there's no such a thing. Give me a break, America. They're racist in the system. There's no system that is racist. Do we get that? I hope we got that. That's really important. So I stopped drinking the Kool-Aid long before I left there. So I call myself 30-30. What did I say 30-30 about? 30 years of being a Democrat, 30 years almost being a Republican, and now I got these leftover years of being a conservative. And I'm very strong on what I believe. I'm not going to let go. I'm not going to lay down like a lot of us and just, oh, well, whatever's going to happen. I cannot live like that. And if you discover the gifts that you've been born with to do, you can't live like that either. You let those gifts rise up and take you. You let those gifts on the inside of you rise up and make you. You let those gifts on the inside of you take anything that's trying to break you and turn it for your good. That's how that works. That's how we live life by design, more than anything else. So all my episodes, my coming up episodes are going to be the attempted assassination of the American spirit. I'm going to be pushing, I'm going to be owning the whole thing of cultural Marxism, because that's what it is, because Americans, we don't want Marxism. We get mad if we ain't getting our hair done on time. We get mad if we don't get the right color car and the carpet. Please. We don't want nobody controlling our products and what we produce and then paying us the way they think we should be paid. Give me a break. That's not us. We're born for such a time as this, Americans. I'm glad that I'm here. I'm glad that I'm born for this time. This is my time. Absolutely. So when you come and check me out on the next episode, we're going to get right into this whole thicket thing concerning cultural Marxism. It's trying to take us out. But it can't, because you and I have seen different. You and I know different. You and I believe that more than anything else, capitalism may have its bad parts about it, but we are the only ones still standing. Those who try to remain socialists, they either implode from the inside out or they go all the way to communism. Because as I say it, socialism is nothing but communism in a cute dress. It cannot exist in and of itself. So how do you get rid of, how do you ruin the spirit of a country? You start in what I'm going to tell you next in those three things. Oh, Lorraine, you're always talking. Yeah, I'm always talking. I'm going to always keep talking. I'm going to always keep talking. Why? Because not only do I have something to say, I have something to say for right now, what you need to hear, what you can walk with, something you can gain something with, and become who you're supposed to be. That is so important. Take away our freedom of speech. Take away our right to protect ourselves. Now take away the rights of those to defund the people that are supposed to protect us. Oh, baby, I know the guns are out there ready to play the game. But it's not a game for me at all. It's not a game for you. It's a way of life. It's going to be a way of life. We need to stand up for the freedoms that our founding fathers, that wars and World War I and World War II fought for. Listen, this is Lorraine Lamont, Living Life by Design. You hold on for the next episode, because it's going to be good and you're going to like it. And then you're going to call me or text me. Come on, yeah, you can do it. Reach me on Facebook Live. If not, you can also catch me right here on this station. It is great. And I love doing what I do. I hope you do too. Living life by design is the one to live life on purpose, like you and like me. Why don't we do that today, this hour, this place?
Howdy folks, Drew from the Wild West Crypto Show. I don't know if you're watching what's going on in the news, but I think we are facing a coming Armageddon, and I have written a book called Are You Prepared to Survive the Coming Armageddon? You can go to armagetaways.com and you can sign up and get a copy free, or go to Amazon and get one. But this guide will give you the very basic things. If you've got to leave your house in a hurry because thugs are out there, this is the resource you need.
Hi, I'm Lorraine Lamont, Living Life by Design, back at you with that second half of what I was going to tell you about. Oh, it's really important that we think about Marxism and what's happening in our culture right now today. That situation is not what we think it is. As I say often, my Democratic friends, my heart bleeds for you. My heart bleeds for you because what's going on out there in our country does not represent 30-30. You know what I'm saying? 30 years of being a Democrat, 30 years of being a Republican. I got something to say. I know what I've seen. I know what's happening, and you do too. You know that doesn't represent your values and views, and yet we hunker down and are quiet and not saying anything, hoping it's going to go away. It's not going. America, listen, look at me. It's not going away. How many ways do I need to pronounce this to you? It is not going away. But Lorraine, I'm sure when all of the elections over with, everybody's going to go back to their little holes and quiet. No, they're not, Martha, Jamie, Sheikah, Mika, Tyrone. They're not going back. Why? Because this movement that we see out there right now, that is not a Democratic movement. That is not a Republican movement. That is not a We the People movement. That's a leftist movement. And it is doing everything in its power, encroaching up its reinforcements more and more so that when whoever gets in office, violence is coming. Know that. You hear what I said? I said, whoever gets in office, violence is coming. But I'll say this. Let's go on. So Marxism. We don't want to be no Marxists. Most of us can't even, listen, we get upset if we don't have our hair appointment on time. Just ask some of those mayors that didn't get their hair done. And then when they got their hair done, it was a big mess about it because they're supposed to have been quarantined. We can't. No, we can't. We've enjoyed the luxury of capitalism. Absolutely. And we want to remain in a lot of ways. Yes, a lot of things need corrected. I understand that. I'm for helping the poor. But listen, how long is you going to be poor? At what point in time am I going to find out that you are just really fiending off of everything? That's true. The Word of God says that even. He says the poor you'll have with you always. Okay, so I expect that. I understand that. But cultural Marxism, when we look at that, it's not what you think. It's not even the Marxism of the past. That's classic Marxism. No, cultural Marxism is a groupthink. This is how it is. It starts with this intersectionality thing. So, if you are, let me think, if you are a white male, Native American, whatever. Yes, and absolutely. If you are not belonging to any of the oppressed groups, you cannot talk today. You have nothing to say. There's no group before you because cultural Marxism is about the group. It's not about the individual. It's about the group. So now what group do you belong to? Let me think. Now let me see. Are you a lesbian, gay? No, maybe not. Okay. Are you in the minority group? Maybe so. Okay. All right. Then that could work. That could work. Let me see. Now if you're not in that group, then, I know it. You could be in a feminist group where you've been oppressed by men all your life. Yeah, you could be in that group, or you could be in the group because you wanted not to have all these babies, but Planned Parenthood has came along and saved you. So in the feminist group and the whole abortion group and up for the pro-choice, you could be in that. Okay, so, but you gotta find a group now. See, because in Marxism really wasn't about so much, it's about the group thing. It's about controlling what we produce and then how much we're going to get paid for it. Well, that's kind of where they're going here. They're going about it a different way. They're saying Marxism is here. Cultural Marxism is you got to belong to a group. If you think outside of the box of that group, then guess what? You're in trouble. They don't want you to think differently. I'll never forget walking into the welfare office. Here I was, a single mom. I've been married for 41 years, so let's get over that part. And I love it still. It's going to hope for the 42nd year. But here I was, a single mom at that time, 19 years old, walking to the welfare office. I walked into the welfare office, and they had given me a program called WIN, Women in Need. Yay! That means you go back to school, you finish everything you need to do. Even though I had graduated, they were going to help me with like a year sort of college. And then let me get hired with one of the major 4 organizations and corporations. And I chose one of the biggest and I got hired. So I'm working, I'm making money. I get my first little house. I get my first raggedy station wagon. I'm so happy. I go in, I says, guys, guess what? I can work a lot of overtime. I don't need the welfare anymore. But can you just cut me off? You'd have thought I said the Virgin Mary had gone on the street, you'd have thought I had said a cuss word that wasn't even written down, a new 4-letter word. You'd have thought that. They started questioning me. They brought in the supervisor. Then the director said, well, now we are proud of you, but you don't need to. And I'm thinking, what is the deal? I wasn't a Christian then, So I said a few choice words, or 4-letter words that got them to knowing that I said I want to be cut off. But when I got back in that car in that parking lot, I thought about that day. I thought about that day. What happened? What was that about? 20 years went by, and one of my sons was in college, and I called him and I said, son, hey, you can vote now. Don't forget, vote Democrat. Now, again, I say crooks on both sides, so I'm not applauding one or the other. Hello, Democrats, right now you've been hijacked, and Republicans, you're wusses. Don't get mad at Miss Lorraine. I'm just telling you the truth. So I said to him, I said, son, I said, you know you'd vote Democrat. And he says, Ma, can I ask you something? Why do I have to vote Democrat? And I said, son, they're for the little guy. And then he said this to me that became the revelation by who I stand today. He said, how long do we have to be little, Mom? When he said that, I remembered that little girl, which was me sitting in that welfare office. When he said that, the pages rippled all the way back, all the way back, all the way back. And I saw myself sitting there. My little soaking wet little self, tiny as I could be. I'm small now, but I was tinier. And I remembered them trying to keep that trough, keep that hook around my neck, keep my head bent to the program of welfare system. Listen, guys, the whole thing with cultural Marxism is to begin to make us think group thing. You're black, you're female, you're this, you've been oppressed. You got to think like this. I've had my liberal friends be mad at me because I'm not mad. What am I be mad for? Well, slavery and then all the things. Listen, this is what I tell my liberal friends. I know you love me. I love you too. I got gays, strays, and all in between. But I want you to preach what you practice. Oh, no, Lorraine, you mean practice what you preach? No. No, preach what you practice. No, you practice that a man and a woman can come together and have a marriage. You practice that your children go to college and get an education. You practice that should be a 2-parent home in the family. You practice that your children to be obedient and be respectful. You practice that, but you don't preach that to us. Now, I got my little glasses on straight now. I see where this is going and where this has been going for decades. I look at our major cities. Come on, America, come on. I look at our major cities, bombed out shelters they look like. Billions of dollars have been poured into our inner cities. And look at them. And right now, Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter. Oh, I know they do. Yes, they do. The only thing with that, they only matter right now. They won't matter later. And they don't matter while we're killing each other all the time. Nobody says anything about that. No, I know. They don't even want to go there. Well, Latinos kill Latinas and Asians kill. Okay, I got that. But guess what? No other race in America kills itself at the rate African Americans do. Oh, my word. No, she didn't say that. And yes, she did. When I speak not just from experience. I speak from my heart and passion. Because, Lorraine, you're so passionate. I am. I believe because when you learn to live life by design, there's something on the inside of you that want to be able to say, this is what I need to be doing. Yes, I know you can have your jobs and your families, and it's great, and we should. But to live and die and go to the earth, never to have operated in what you've been called to do, that just makes me, I want to pass out when I think about that. I just can't even breathe straight thinking about that. I must speak. This is my time to speak. I must use a gift that has been given to me. What is your gift? Get up, write a letter, make a phone call, do something. Get up, write a letter, make a phone call, do something, and stop voting them political pundits and pimps in office that continue to prostitute our feelings, separate us all the time. Why? Why? Because they know, because when you group think, then you can be ran like herds, and we become sheeple and not people. That's what I see. Sheeple. What is sheeple? You're running, you're here and there, and you don't have any direction. And they don't care. Come November 4th or whatever it is, they just want you to go in those polls and just click that little button, what's familiar. They don't want you to use your brain. When I walk into a voting polls, the most embarrassing thing, sometimes now I'm getting angry when I walk in and they automatically start pointing me to the side they think I should go to. Excusez-moi, I checked my coat at the door. I didn't check my brain at the door. I wasn't black and born a Democrat. When I finally woke up to that 30 years later, then then I started using my brain, voting my values, voting what vision I have on the end. What did God give me? What is it that you really live by? Do you want someone always feeding you from a trough? You know, when animals do that, they never have to look in your eyes. And you know why they never have to look in your eyes? Because all they need to see is a trough. And that's exactly what a lot of these government programs have done. The war on poverty, when it came along, when Lyndon B. Johnson was helping us out, remove the fathers from the home for most black families. We used to have 2 people in our family. We had 2.1. I don't know what that was. We had parenting in our homes. That just totally left us. And now baby mamas and baby daddies are running all over the place, and we think it's the norm. It's not the norm. It's not the norm. We have actually bred and we have actually produced a generation right now of ungratefulness. That's what we're dealing with right now. Everybody owes me something. The Bible says where there's envy, jealousy, and strife, there's every evil work. And that's exactly what we see right now. Every evil work everywhere. When you learn to live life by design, you're not trying to look at somebody else's stuff and trying to get there. Give me $10, I'm a black person. Give me a break. Give me a break. Get up and make yourself a Jap. And I'm not talking ethnically. I say J-A-P, that's a job, an automobile, and a place to stay. What'd you say, Lorraine? I said, make yourself a Jap, a job, an automobile, and a place to stay. Every one of you should be doing that. When you start depending on the government, like I told my little granddaughter in that car, she saw me screaming back at the radio. Screaming back at the radio. The news people, you know, the news media monsters. I'm screaming back, and I looked at her in the rearview mirror, and she's looking at me, looking at her doll like, what's wrong with my grandma? What's wrong with my grandma? And I looked in that rearview mirror, I said, listen, Jada, baby, let me just tell you. You may not know what I'm saying right now, but you will remember one day, big government, little people. The bigger the government, the littler the people. So always remember that. Government has no business in the places it is right now in our lives. But we have abdicated like Adam in that snakeskin suit when he came along and talked to Eve that day. He abdicated his responsibility, and that's what we're doing too. Let the government do it. The government. All right, then government in and God out. It went government in and God out. How is that working for us, America? I'm here to tell you that living life by design is not just, guys, it's not about pushing out an agenda. It's not about, it's a passion. It's a way of life. Every human being has come to this planet specifically designed for his or her time. What is your time? What are you designed for? What is that thing you should be doing? What is that thing? Come on, America. We're smarter than this. I'm not going to give up. Listen, I say when they close that casket on this colored face, we got to know this real quick. You hear thump, thump, thump in that casket. It's because I'm still kicking. And I'm saying I'm not giving up. And you shouldn't either. Learn to live life by design. Come on. And you're going to be checking out these episodes. I got lots of stuff I'm going to be talking about. Woo-hoo! Especially when I get to more about the Black Lives Matter, why Black Lives Matter. And then not to mention, okay, the guns and the protection. I call it the GARIS, G-A-R-I-S. All the politicians use it. G for guns, A for abortion, murder, abortion, R for race, I for immigration, and S for sex and sex scandals and schools. My next episode, I'm going to talk about the school thing, the indoctrination centers, the Project 1619, what is coming along, and how you indoctrinate children from the 3rd grade, now even kindergarten, talking about how bad the United States is, America is. That's who the people are out in the streets. That's who they are. Who do you think the Antifa little Megans and little Karens from New Jersey are running around tearing up black people's property? How did they get that way? Overnight? No. We're responsible, America. We're smarter than this. It's time for you to stand up. Come on. The Word of God says that when the enemy comes in like a flood, God will raise up a standard against him. Who do you think that standard is? That's me. That's you. We are that standard. Take a stand. And like Winston Churchill said, I believe it. This is our finest hour. We've only begun to fight. That's right. You may not like the crazy man with the orange hair and the red tie, but let me tell you something. A lot of people say because Republicans and Democrats alike, some of them don't like him. They don't like him. Not all of them. Because when he shows up, they always says he don't play ball. You're right. He doesn't play ball. You know why? Because when he comes to the table, he brings his own. That's how I feel about that. Absolutely. Who do you want at the table? So ask yourself this pressing question. There's going to be violence. It's going to happen. Who do you want at the table? Who do you want at the table running this country? Somebody that can't remember his name? Or someone who plays ball the right way?